Follow the traces. Explore roots deep. Learn from the past. Futures to reap. Stay tuned for Qingqiao Safety. Detective. Chapter 2. Unveiling the Unknown Hell. During the intensive search and rescue operations, no one could have anticipated that 3 kidnappers had been holding the children hostage, driving 2 vans for a continuous 11 hours. By this point, they were already approximately 400 to 500 kilometers away from the serene town of Chowchilla. The winding road had numerous turns. Initially, Bert attempted to recall the route, but it didn't take long before he completely lost his sense of direction. The terrified children clung to each other tightly. Some, still in swimsuits, hadn't changed after swimming. Everyone felt thirsty, hungry, and hot. Some children, overwhelmed by nervousness, even wet their pants. Jenny, the girl, felt extreme unease. Where were these criminals taking her? Would she never return home again? She looked back at Bert with fear, seeking comfort. Bert, a close friend of Jenny's father who often visits their home, understands the significance of Jenny's gaze and what it means to the children. Despite the pain in the corners of his mouth, Bert flashed a reassuring smile at Jenny, silently conveying, "Don't worry, don't be afraid, everything will be fine." After an unknown duration, the kidnappers brought the car to a halt and instructed all the children to disembark. For Jenny, that night left an indelible memory of a dark wilderness surrounding an unfathomable pit. The gangsters demanded each child reveal their name, surrender an item of clothing, and then coerced them to descend into the ominous pit using a wooden ladder. Jenny found herself in what felt like a dark tin box, which was actually the buried bed of a truck. The entrance was a sunroof on top. The carriage held a meager supply of water, cereal, peanut butter, and bread, barely sufficient for one meal. Alongside these provisions were some worn-out mattresses, a small quantity of water, a ventilation fan, and an improvised toilet made from a wooden box. Upon entering, the gangsters removed the wooden ladder, and despite pleas from Bert and the terrified children, they remained unresponsive. The sunroof entrance was sealed tightly with a manhole cover and secured further with 2 100-pound industrial batteries. The kidnappers hurriedly buried the truck with sand. Panic set in among the children, leading to screams and even one child fainting. Bert, while attempting to provide comfort, couldn't contain his tears as he observed the structural instability around the truck. He feared that the roof might collapse at any moment. After more than 10 hours since the incident, external news media had started reporting on the case. However, the gangsters had covered a radius of over 400 kilometers, making it challenging for the police to locate the hostages in such a vast area. The rescue operation had reached a deadlock. As time passed, the underground car experienced a decrease in oxygen, creating a stifling and desperate atmosphere. Additionally, dirt kept falling from the gaps, and the roof began to bend and deform under the pressure of the ground. The children, huddled in fear, screamed and cried. However, the oldest student among them, 14-year-old Chris, bravely stood up and declared that they couldn't sit back and let things happen, they needed to take action. He approached Bert with determination and said, "Old Bert, let's do something." Bert, having contemplated countermeasures, nodded in approval and emphasized the need for quick action. Glancing around at the 26 children trapped, Bert's resolute gaze instilled trust in the group, and the children stopped crying, ready to follow his lead. Bert informed the children that if they collaborated to move the firm mattresses inside the car and stacked them, they might reach the sunroof on the roof. Hence, everyone regained hope and promptly began working together. The older children collaborated in lifting, the younger ones helped pull the mattresses, and Bert gathered the mattresses to increase their height. Every child was giving their best effort. Bert also had the children sing songs to boost morale and provide comfort. Chris, being a sports enthusiast, was taller than most 14-year-olds. Utilizing his agility, he swiftly climbed onto the stacked mattresses with Bert's support. Standing on tiptoe, he reached the entrance they had come through earlier. Chris gently pushed the edge of the hole with his hand, and fine sand slowly fell down. Looking back at Bert to confirm the position, he used all his strength to push the manhole cover upward, but it didn't budge. After a moment of thought, he asked the others if they had anything that could be used as a lever to pry the manhole cover open. The children actively searched around in the car and eventually found a suitable large wooden board. Chris gritted his teeth and used the wooden board to pry up the manhole cover, while others cheered him on below. All the children had a consistent look of determination on their faces, staring upward. After a long time, a miracle finally happened. Chris, using his own weight and the lever principle he had learned, managed to pry out a half-foot wide gap in the manhole cover holding the huge battery. Then, a large amount of soil slid down from the gap, signaling their potential escape. Everyone knew they were saved. Subsequently, Bert and Chris worked together to completely push open the two large batteries on the manhole cover and then cleared away the thick soil layer, finally opening an escape passage. As the first person to exit the carriage, the nimble Chris looked around cautiously. He was worried that the gangsters might still be lurking nearby. If that were the case, all their efforts would be in vain. Seeing a lot of gravel around him, he picked it up and threw it far away. There was no response from the surrounding area, indicating that the gangsters were not present. He then signaled to Bert that it was safe for everyone to come out. One by one, the children struggled to crawl towards the exit, until Bert took out the last child from the carriage. The 27 survivors have successfully escaped the dark hell, and completed a challenging self-rescue. Will they find shelter soon, and can the 3 kidnappers be captured and brought to justice? Please stay tuned for the next issue, Detective of Qingqiao Safety.